Act 4 of The Miser by Moliere, translated by Charles Heron Wall. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 4. Scene 1. Cléante, Marianne, Elise, Frosine.
Let us come in here. We shall be much better. There is no one about us that we need be afraid of, and we can speak openly.
Yes, madam, my brother has told me of the love he has for you. I know what sorrow and anxiety such trials as these may cause, and I assure you that I have the greatest sympathy for you.
I feel it a great comfort in my trouble to have the sympathy of a person like you, and I entreat you, madam, ever to retain for me a friendship so capable of softening the cruelty of my fate.
You really are both very unfortunate not to have told me of all this before. I might certainly have warded off the blow and not have carried things so far.
What could I do? It is my evil destiny which has willed it so. But you, fair Marianne, what have you resolved to do? What resolution have you taken?
Alas, is it in my power to take any resolution? And, dependent as I am, can I do anything else except form wishes?
No other support for me in your heart? Nothing but mere wishes? No pitying energy? No kindly relief? No active affection?
What am I to say to you? Put yourself in my place and judge what I can possibly do. Advise me, dispose of me. I trust myself entirely to you, for I am sure that you will never ask anything of me but what is modest and seemly.
Alas! To what do you reduce me when you wish me to be guided entirely by feelings of strict duty and of scrupulous propriety?
But what would you have me do? Even if I were, for you, to divest myself of the many scruples which our sex imposes on us, I have too much regard for my mother, who has brought me up with great tenderness, for me to give her any cause of sorrow. Do all you can with her, strive to win her. I give you leave to say and do all you wish, and if anything depends upon her knowing the true state of my feelings, by all means tell her what they are. Indeed, I will do it myself if necessary.
Frosine, dear Frosine, will you not help us?
Indeed, I should like to do so, as you know. I am not naturally unkind. Heaven has not given me a heart of flint, and I feel but too ready to help when I see young people loving each other in all earnestness and honesty. What can we do in this case?
Try and think a little.
Advise us.
Invent something to undo what you have done.
Rather a difficult piece of business.
To Marianne.
As far as your mother is concerned, she is not altogether unreasonable, and we might succeed in making her give to the son the gifts she reserved for the father.
To Cléante.
But the most disheartening part of it all is that your father is your father.
Yes, so it is.
I mean, he will bear malice if he sees that he is refused, and he will be in no way disposed afterwards to give his consent to your marriage. It would be well if the refusal could be made to come from him, and you ought to try by some means or other to make him dislike you, Marianne.
You are quite right.
Yes, right enough, no doubt. That is what ought to be done. But how in the world are we to set about it? Wait a moment. Suppose we had a somewhat elderly woman with a little of the availability which I possess, and able sufficiently well to represent a lady of rank by means of a retinue made up in haste, and of some whimsical title of a marchioness or a viscountess, whom we would suppose to come from Lower Brittany. I should have enough power over your father to persuade him that she is a rich woman, in possession besides her houses of 100,000 crowns in ready money, and that she is deeply in love with him, and that she would marry him at any cost, were she even to give him all her money by the marriage contract. I have no doubt he would listen to the proposal, for he certainly loves you very much, my dear, but he loves money still better. When he has consented to your marriage, it does not signify much how he finds out the true state of affairs about our Marchioness.
All that is very well made up.
Leave it to me. I just remember one of my friends who will do beautifully.
Depend on my gratitude, Frosine, if you succeed. But, dear Marianne, let us begin, I beg of you, by gaining over your mother. It would be a great deal accomplished if this marriage were once broken off. Make use, I beseech you, of all the power that her tenderness for you gives you over her. Display without hesitation those eloquent graces, those all-powerful charms, with which heaven has endowed your eyes and lips. Forget not, I beseech you, those sweet persuasions, those tender entreaties, those loving caresses, to which I feel nothing could be refused.
I will do all I can, and will forget nothing.
Scene 2. Harpagon, Marianne, Elise, Frosine. Aside without being seen.
Ah! My son is kissing the hand of his intended stepmother, and his intended stepmother does not seem much averse to it. Can there be any mystery in all this?
Here comes my father.
The carriage is quite ready, and you can start when you like.
Since you are not going, father, allow me to take care of them.
No, stop here. They can easily take care of themselves, and I want you.
Scene 3. Harpagon, Cléante.
Well now, all consideration of stepmother aside, tell me, what do you think of this lady?
What I think of her?
Yes, what do you think of her appearance, her figure, her beauty and intelligence?
So-so.
But still?
To tell you the truth, I did not find her such as I expected. Her manner is that of a thorough coquette. Her figure is rather awkward, her beauty very middling, and her intelligence is of the meanest order. Do not suppose that I say this to make you dislike her, for if I must have a stepmother, I like the idea of this one as well as of any other.
You spoke to her just now, nevertheless.
I paid her several compliments in your name, but it was to please you.
So then you don't care for her?
Who? I? Not in the least.
I am sorry for it, for that puts an end to a scheme which had occurred to me. Since I have seen her here, I have been thinking of my own age, and I feel that people would find fault with me for marrying so young a girl. This consideration had made me determined to abandon the project, and as I had demanded her in marriage, and had given her my promise, I would have given her to you if it were not for the dislike you have for her.
To me?
To you.
In marriage?
In marriage.
It is true she is not at all to my taste, but to please you, father, I will bring myself to marry her, if you please.
If I please? I am more reasonable than you think. I don't wish to compel you.
Excuse me, I will make an attempt to love her.
No, no. A marriage cannot be happy where there is no love.
That, my father, will perhaps come by and by, and it is said that love is often the fruit of marriage.
No, it is not right to risk it on the side of the man. And there are some troublesome things I don't care to run the chance of. If you had felt any inclination for her, you should have married her instead of me. But as it is, I will return to my first intention, and marry her myself.
Well, father, since things are so, I had better be frank with you, and reveal our secret to you. The truth is that I have loved her ever since I saw her one day on the promenade. I intended to ask you today to let me marry her, and I was only deterred from it because you spoke of marrying her yourself, and because I feared to displease you.
Have you ever paid her any visits?
Yes, father.
Many?
Yes, considering how long we have been acquainted.
You were well received?
Very well, but without her knowing who I was, and that is why Marianne was so surprised when she saw me today.
Have you told her of your love, and of your intention of marrying her?
Certainly, and I also spoke a little to the mother on the subject.
Did she kindly receive your proposal for her daughter?
Yes, very kindly.
And does the daughter return your love?
If I can believe appearances, she is certainly well disposed toward me.
Aside.
Well, I am very glad to have found out this secret. It is the very thing I wanted to know.
To his son.
Now look here, my son, I tell you what. You will have, if you please, to get rid of your love for Marianne, to cease to pay your attentions to a person I intend for myself, and to marry very soon the wife I have chosen for you.
So, father, it is thus that you deceive me. Very well, since things are come to such a pass, I openly declare to you that I shall not give up my love for Marianne. No. Understand that henceforth there is nothing from which I shall shrink, in order to dispute her with you. And if you have on your side the consent of the mother, perhaps I shall have some other resources left to aid me.
What, rascal! You dare to trespass on my grounds?
It was you who trespassed on mine. I was the first.
Am I not your father, and do you not owe me respect?
There are things in which children are not called upon to pay deference to their fathers, and love is no respecter of persons.
My stick will make you know me better.
All your threatenings are nothing to me.
You will give up Marianne.
Never.
Bring me my stick. Quick, I say, my stick!
Scene 4. Harpagon, Cléante, Master Jacques.
Hold, hold! Gentlemen, what does this mean? What are you thinking of?
I don't care a bit for it.
Ah, sir, gently.
He dares to speak to me with such impudence as that.
Sir, I beg of you.
I shall keep to it.
What? To your father?
Let me do it.
What? To your son? To me it's different.
I will make you judge between us, Master Jacques, so that you may see that I have right on my side.
Willingly.
To Cléante.
Go a little farther back.
There is a young girl I love and want to marry, and the scoundrel has the impudence to love her also and wants to marry her in spite of me.
Oh, he is wrong.
Is it not an abominable thing to see a son who does not shrink from becoming the rival of his father? And is it not his bounden duty to refrain from interfering with my love?
Ye are quite right. Stop here and let me go and speak to him.
To Master Jacques, who comes near him.
Very well. If he wants to make you a judge between us, I have no objection. I care little who it is, and I don't mind your referring our quarrel to you.
Ye do me great honour.
I am in love with a young girl who returns my affection, and who receives kindly the offer of my heart. But my father takes it into his head to disturb our love by asking her in marriage.
He certainly is wrong.
Is it not shameful for a man of his age to think of marrying? I ask you if it is right for him to fall in love, and ought he not now to leave that to younger men?
You are quite right. He is not serious. Let me speak a word or two to him.
To Harpagon.
Really, your son is not so extravagant as you think, and is amenable to reason. He says that he is conscious of the respect he owes you, and that he only got angry in the heat of the moment. He will willingly submit to all you wish if you will only promise to treat him more kindly than you do, and will give him in marriage a person to his taste.
Ah, tell him, Master Jacques, that he will obtain everything from me on those terms, and that, except Marianne, I leave him free to choose for his wife whomsoever he pleases.
Leave that to me.
To Cléante.
Really, your father is not so unreasonable as you make him out to me, and he tells me that it is your violence which irritated him. He only objects to your way of doing things, and is quite ready to grant you all you want, provided you will use gentle means and will give him the deference, respect, and submission that a son owes to his father.
Oh, Master Jacques, you can assure him that if he grants me Marianne, he will always find me the most submissive of men, and that I shall never do anything contrary to his pleasure.
To Harpagon.
It's all right. He consents to what you say.
Nothing could be better.
To Cléante.
It's all settled. He is satisfied with your promises.
Heaven be praised!
Gentlemen, you have nothing to do but to talk quietly over the matter together. You are agreed now, and yet you were on the point of quarrelling through want of understanding each other.
My poor Jacques, I shall be obliged to you all my life.
Don't mention it, sir.
You have given me great pleasure, Master Jacques, and deserve a reward.
Harpagon feels in his pocket. Jacques holds out his hand, but Harpagon only pulls out his handkerchief and says,
Go. I will remember it, I promise you.
I thank you kindly, sir.
Scene 5. Harpagon, Cléante.
I beg your pardon, father, for having been angry.
It is nothing.
I assure you that I feel very sorry about it.
I am very happy to see you reasonable again.
How very kind of you so soon to forget my fault.
One easily forgets the faults of children when they return to their duty.
What, you are not angry with me for my extravagant behaviour?
By your submission and respectful conduct you compel me to forget my anger.
I assure you, father, I shall forever keep in heart the remembrance of all your kindness.
And I promise you that, in future, you will obtain all you like from me.
Oh, father, I ask nothing more. It is sufficient for me that you give me Marianne.
What?
I say, father, that I am only too thankful already for what you have done, and that when you give me Marianne, you give me everything.
Who talks of giving you Marianne?
You, father.
I?
Yes.
What? Is it not you who promised to give her up?
I? Give her up?
Yes.
Certainly not.
Did you not give up all pretensions to her?
On the contrary, I am more determined than ever to have her.
What? Scoundrel! Again!
Nothing can make me change my mind.
Let me get at you again, wretch.
You can do as you please.
I forbid you ever to come within my sight.
As you like.
I abandon you.
Abandon me.
I disown you.
Disown me.
I disinherit you.
As you will.
I give you my curse.
I want none of your gifts.
Scene 6. Cléance, La Flèche. Leaving the garden with a casket.
Ah, sir, you're just in the nick of time. Quick, follow me.
What is the matter?
Follow me, I say. We're saved.
How?
Here is all you want.
What?
I have watched for this all day.
What is it?
Your father's treasure that I have got hold of.
How did you manage it?
I will tell you all about it. Let us be off. I can hear him calling out.
Scene 7. Harpagon, from the garden, rushing in without his hat and crying.
Thieves! Thieves! Assassins! Murder! Justice! Just heavens! I am undone! I am murdered! They have cut my throat! They have stolen my money! Who can it be? What has become of him? Where is he? Where is he hiding himself? What shall I do to find him? Where shall I run? Where shall I not run? Is he not here? Who is this? Stop!
To himself, taking hold of his own arm.
Give me back my money, wretch! Ah, it is myself. My mind is wandering, and I know not where I am, who I am, and what I am doing. Alas! My poor money! My poor money! My dearest friend, they have bereaved me of thee, and since thou art gone, I have lost my support, my consolation, and my joy. All is ended for me, and I have nothing more to do in the world. Without thee it is impossible for me to live. It is all over with me. I can bear it no longer. I am dying. I am dead. I am buried. Is there nobody who will call me from the dead by restoring my dear money to me, or by telling me who has taken it? Ah! What is it you say? It is no one? Whoever has committed the deed must have watched carefully for his opportunity, and must have chosen the very moment when I was talking with my miscreant of a son. I must go. I will demand justice, and have the whole of my house put to the torture. My maids, my valets, my sons, my daughters, and myself too. What a crowd of people are assembled here. Every one seems to be my thief. I will see no one who does not rouse suspicion in me. Ha! What are they speaking of there? Of him who stole my money? What noise is that up yonder? Is it my thief who is there? For pity's sake, if you know anything of my thief, I beseech you to tell me. Is he hiding there among you? They all look at me and laugh. We shall see that they all have a share in the robbery. Quick, magistrates, police, provosts, judges, racks, gibbets, and executioners! I will hang everybody, and if I do not find my money, I will hang myself afterwards.
End of Act 4. Act 5 of The Miser by Molière, translated by Charles Heron Wall. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 5. Scene 1. Harpagon, a police officer.
Leave that to me. I know my business. Thank heaven this is not the first time I've been employed in finding out thieves, and I wish I had as many bags of 1,000 francs as I have had people hanged.
Every magistrate must take this affair in hand, and if my money is not found, I shall call justice against justice itself.
We must take all needful steps. You say there was in that casket
10,000 crowns in cash.
10,000 crowns?
10,000 crowns.
A considerable theft.
There is no punishment great enough for the enormity of the crime, and if it remain unpunished, the most sacred things are no longer secure.
In what coins was that sum?
In good louis d'or and pistolets of full weight.
Whom do you suspect of this robbery?
Everybody! I wish you to take into custody the whole town and suburbs.
You must not, if you trust me, frighten anybody, but must use gentle means to collect evidence, in order afterwards to proceed with more rigour for the recovery of the sum which has been taken from you.
Scene 2. Harpagon, the police officer, Master Jacques. At the end of the stage, turning back to the door by which he came in.
I'm coming back. Have his throat cut at once. Have his feet singed. Put him in boiling water and hang him up to the ceiling.
What? Him who has robbed me?
I was speaking of a sucking pig that your steward has just sent me, and I want to have it dressed for you after my own fancy.
This is no longer the question. And you have to speak of something else to this gentleman.
To Jacques.
Don't get frightened. I am not a man to cause any scandal, and matters will be carried on by gentle means.
To Harpagon.
Is this gentleman coming to supper with you?
You must, in this case, my good man, hide nothing from your master.
Indeed, sir, I will show you all I know, and will treat you in the best manner I possibly can.
That's not the question.
If I do not give as good fare as I should like, it is the fault of the steward, who has clipped my wings with the scissors of his economy.
Rascal! We have other matters to talk about than your supper, and I want you to tell me what has become of the money which has been stolen from me.
Some money has been stolen from you?
Yes, you rascal, and I'll have you hanged if you don't give it me back again.
To Harpagon.
Pray don't be hard upon him. I see by his looks that he's an honest fellow, and he will tell you all you want to know without going to prison. Yes, my friend, if you confess, no harm shall come to you, and you shall be well rewarded by your master. Some money has been stolen from him, and it is not possible that you know nothing about it.
The very thing I wanted in order to be revenged of our steward. Ever since he came here, he has been a favourite, and his advice is the only one listened to. Moreover, I have forgotten neither the cudgelling of today nor...
What are you muttering about there?
Leave him alone. He's preparing himself to satisfy you. I told you that he was an honest fellow.
Sir, since you want me to tell you what I know, I believe it is your steward who has done this.
Valerie?
Yes?
He who seems so faithful to me?
Himself. I believe that it is he who has robbed you.
And what makes you believe it?
What makes you believe it?
Yes.
I believe it because I believe it.
But you must tell us the proofs you have.
Did you see him hanging about the place where I had put my money?
Yes, indeed. Where was your money?
In the garden.
Exactly. I saw him loitering about in the garden. And in what was your money?
In a casket.
The very thing. I saw him with a casket.
And this casket, what was it like? I shall soon see if it is mine.
What it was like?
Yes?
It was like a casket.
Of course, but describe it a little to see if it is the same.
It was a large casket.
The one taken from me is a small one.
Yes, small if you look at it in that way, but I call it large because of what it contains.
And what colour was it?
What colour?
Yes.
Of a certain colour. Can't you help me to find the word?
Ugh.
Red, isn't it?
No, grey.
Ah, yes, a reddish grey. That is what I meant.
There is no doubt about it. It's my casket for certain. Write down his evidence, sir. Heavens! Whom can we trust after this? We must never swear to anything, and I believe now that I might rob my own self.
There he is, coming back, sir. I beg of you not to go and tell him that it was I who let it all out, sir.
Scene 3. Harpagon, the police officers, Molière, Master Jacques.
Come near and confess the most abominable action, the most horrible crime that was ever committed.
What do you want, sir?
What, wretch? You do not blush for shame after such a crime?
Of what crime do you speak?
Of what crime I speak? Base villain, as if you did not know what I mean. It is in vain for you to try to hide it. The thing is discovered, and I have just heard all the particulars. How could you thus abuse my kindness, introduce yourself on purpose into my house to betray me, and to play upon me such an abominable trick?
Sir, since everything is known to you, I will neither deny what I have done, nor will I try to palliate it.
Oh, have I guessed the truth?
I intended to speak to you about it, and I was watching for a favourable opportunity. But as this is no longer possible, I beg of you not to be angry, and to hear my motives.
And what fine motives can you possibly give, infamous thief?
Ah, sir, I do not deserve these names. I am guilty towards you, it is true, but, after all, my fault is pardonable.
How pardonable? A premeditated trick, and such an assassination as this?
I beseech you not to be so angry with me. When you have heard all I have to say, you will see that the harm is not so great as you make it out to be.
The harm not so great as I make it out to be? What, my heart's blood, scoundrel?
Your blood, sir, has not fallen into bad hands. My rank is high enough not to disgrace it, and there is nothing in all this for which reparation cannot be made.
It is, indeed, my intention that you should restore what you have taken from me.
Your honour, sir, shall be fully satisfied.
Honour is not the question in all this. But tell me what made you commit such a deed?
Alas, do you ask it?
Yes, I should rather think that I do.
A God, sir, who carries with him his excuses for all he makes people do. Love.
Love?
Yes.
Fine love that! Fine love indeed! The love of my gold!
No, sir, it is not your wealth that has tempted me. It is not that which has dazzled me, and I swear never to pretend to any of your possessions, provided you leave me what I have.
In the name of all the devils, no! I shall not leave it to you. But did anyone ever meet with such villainy? He wishes to keep what he has robbed me of?
Do you call that a robbery?
If I call that a robbery? A treasure like that?
I readily acknowledge that it is a treasure, and the most precious one you have, but it will not be losing it to leave it to me. I ask you on my knees to leave in my possession this treasure so full of charms, and if you do right, you will grant it to me.
I will do nothing of the kind. What in the world are you driving at?
We have pledged our faith to each other, and have taken an oath never to forsake one another.
The oath is admirable, and the promise strange enough.
Yes, we are engaged to each other forever.
I know pretty well how to disengage you, I assure you of that.
Nothing but death can separate us.
You must be devilishly bewitched by my money.
I have told you already, sir, that it is not self-interest which has prompted me to what I have done. It was not that which prompted my heart, a nobler motive inspired me.
We shall hear presently that it is out of Christian charity that he covets my money. But I will put a stop to all this, and justice, impudent rascal, will soon give me satisfaction.
You will do as you please, and I am ready to suffer all the violence you care to inflict upon me. But I beg of you to believe at least that if there is any harm done, I am the only one guilty, and that your daughter has done nothing wrong in all this.
I should think not. It would be strange indeed if my daughter had a share in this crime. But I will have that treasure back again, and you must confess to that place you have carried it off.
I have not carried it off, and it is still in your house.
Oh, my beloved casket! My treasure has not left my house?
No, sir.
Well then, tell me, have you taken any liberties with?
Ah, sir, you wrong us both. The flame with which I burn is too pure, too full of respect.
He burns for my casket.
I had rather die than show the least offensive thought. I found too much modesty and too much purity for that.
My cash-box modest?
All my desires were limited to the pleasures of sight, and nothing criminal has profaned the passion those fair eyes have inspired me with.
The fair eyes of my cash-box? He speaks of it as a lover does of his mistress.
Dame Claude knows the whole truth, and she can bear witness to it.
Hello! My servant is an accomplice in this affair?
Yes, sir. She was a witness to our engagement, and it was after being sure of the innocence of my love that she helped me to persuade your daughter to engage herself to me.
Ah! Has the fear of justice made him lose his senses? What rubbish are you talking about my daughter?
I say, sir, that I found it most difficult to make her modesty consent to what my love asked of her.
The modesty of whom?
Of your daughter, and it was only yesterday that she could make up her mind to sign our mutual promise of marriage.
My daughter has signed a promise of marriage?
Yes, sir, and I have also signed.
Oh, heavens! Another misfortune!
To the officer.
Right, sir, right.
Aggravation of misery! Excess of despair!
To the officer.
Sir, discharge your duty, and draw me up an indictment against him as a thief and a suborner.
As a thief and a suborner.
These are names which I do not deserve, and when you know who I am...
Scene 4. Harpagon, Elise, Marianne, Valère, Frosine, Master Jacques, the police officer.
Ah, guilty daughter, unworthy of a father like me! Is it thus that you put into practice the lessons I have given you? You give your love to an infamous thief, and engage yourself to him without my consent? But you shall both be disappointed.
To Elise.
4 strong walls will answer for your conduct in the future.
To Valère.
And good gallows, impudent thief, shall do me justice for your audacity.
Your anger will be no judge in this affair, and I shall at least have a hearing before I am condemned.
I was wrong to say gallows. You shall be broken alive on the wheel.
Kneeling to her father.
Ah, my father, be more merciful, I beseech you, and do not let your paternal authority drive matters to extremes. Do not suffer yourself to be carried away by the first outburst of your anger, but give yourself time to consider what you do. Take the trouble of inquiring about him whose conduct has offended you. He is not what you imagine, and you will think it less strange that I should have given myself to him, when you know that without him you would long ago have lost me forever. Yes, father, it is he who saved me from the great danger I ran in the waters, and to whom you owe the life of that very daughter who—
All this is nothing, and it would have been much better for me if he had suffered you to be drowned rather than to do what he has done.
My father, I beseech you, in the name of paternal love, grant me—
No, no, I will hear nothing, and justice must have its course.
You shall pay me for the blows you gave me.
What a perplexing state of affairs.
Scene 5. Anselm, Harpagon, Elise, Marianne, Frosine, Valère, the police officer, Master Jacques.
What can have happened, Mr. Harpagon? You are quite upset.
Ah, Mr. Anselme, you see me the most unfortunate of men, and you can never imagine what vexation and disorder is connected with the contract you have come to sign. I am attacked in my property. I am attacked in my honor. And you see there a scoundrel and a wretch who has violated the most sacred rights, who has introduced himself into my house as a servant in order to steal my money and seduce my daughter.
Whoever thought of your money about which you rave?
Yes, they have given each other a promise of marriage. This insult concerns you, Mr. Anselme, and it is you who ought to be plaintiff against him, and who at your own expense ought to prosecute him to the utmost in order to be revenged.
It is not my intention to force anybody to marry me, and to lay claim to a heart which has already bestowed itself. But as far as your interests are concerned, I am ready to espouse them as if they were my own.
This is the gentleman, an honest commissary, who has promised that he will omit nothing of what concerns the duties of his office.
To the officer, showing Valère.
Charge him, sir, as he ought to be, and make matters very criminal.
I do not see what crime they can make of my passion for your daughter, nor the punishment you think I ought to be condemned to for our engagement, when it is known who I am.
I don't care a pin for all those stories, and the world is full nowadays of those pretenders to nobility, of those impostors who take advantage of their obscurity and deck themselves out insolently with the first illustrious name that comes into their head.
Know that I am too upright to adorn myself with a name which is not mine, and that all Naples can bear testimony to my birth.
Softly, take care of what you are about to say. You speak before a man to whom all of Napoli is known, and who can soon see if your story is true.
Proudly putting on his hat.
I am not the man to fear anything, and if all Naples is known to you, you know who was Don Tomas dal Burci.
Certainly, I know who he is, and few people know him better than I do.
I care neither for Don Thomas nor Don Martin.
Seeing 2 candles burning, he blows one out.
Have patience, and let him speak. We shall soon know what he has to say of him.
That it is to him that I owe my birth.
To him?
Yes.
Nonsense, you are laughing. Try and make out a more likely story. And don't pretend to shelter yourself under such a piece of imposture.
Consider your words better before you speak. It is no imposture, and I say nothing here that I cannot prove.
What? You dare call yourself the son of Don Toma de Albersi?
Yes, I dare to do so, and I am ready to maintain the truth against anyone, whoever he may be.
This audacity is marvelous. Learn to your confusion that it is now at least 16 years ago since the man of whom you speak died in a shipwreck at sea with his wife and children, when he was trying to save their lives from the cruel persecutions which accompanied the troubles at Napoli, which caused the banishment of several noble families.
Yes, but learn to your confusion that his son, 7 years of age, was, with a servant, saved from the wreck by a Spanish vessel, and that this son is he who now speaks to you. Learn that the captain of that ship, touched with compassion at my misfortune, loved me, that he had me brought up as his own son, and that the profession of arms has been my occupation ever since I was fit for it. That lately I heard that my father is not dead, as I thought he was. That, passing this way to go and find him out, an accident, arranged by heaven, brought to my sight the charming Elise, that the sight of her made me a slave to her beauty, and that the violence of my love and the harshness of her father made me take the resolution to come into his house disguised as a servant, and to send someone else to look after my parents.
But what other proofs have you, besides your own words, that all this is not a fable, based by you upon truth?
What proofs? The captain of the Spanish vessel, a ruby seal which belonged to my father, an agate bracelet which my mother put upon my arm, and old Pedro, that servant who was saved with me from the wreck.
Alas, I can answer here for what you have said, that you do not deceive us, and all you say clearly tells me that you are my brother.
You, my sister?
Yes, my heart was touched as soon as you began to speak, and our mother, who will be delighted at seeing you, often told me of the misfortunes of our family. Heaven spared us also in that dreadful wreck, but our life was spared at the cost of our liberty, for my mother and myself were taken up by pirates from the wreck of our vessel. After 10 years of slavery, a lucky event gave us back to liberty, and we returned to Naples, where we found all our property had been sold, and could hear no news of our father. We embarked for Genoa, where my mother went to gather what remained of a family estate which had been much disputed. Leaving her unjust relatives, she came here, where she has lived but a weary life.
Oh, heaven! How wonderful are thy doings, and how true it is that it only belongs to thee to work miracles. Come to my arms, my children, and share the joy of your happy father.
You are our father?
It was for you that my mother wept?
Yes, my daughter. Yes, my son. I am Don Tomás de Albarracin, whom heaven saved from the waves, with all the money he had with him, and who, after 16 years, believing you all dead, was preparing, after long journeys, to seek the consolations of a new family in marrying a gentle and virtuous woman. The little security there was for my life in Napoli has made me abandon the idea of returning there, and having found the means of selling what I had, I settled here under the name of Anselmo. I wish to forget the sorrows of a name associated with so many and great troubles.
He is your son?
Yes.
That being so, I make you responsible for the 10,000 crowns that he has stolen from me.
He steal anything from you?
Yes.
Who said so?
Master Jacques.
You say that?
You see that I'm not saying anything.
He certainly did. There is the officer who has received his deposition.
Can you really believe me capable of such a base action?
Capable or not capable, I must find my money.
Scene 6. Harpagon, Anselme, Elise, Marianne, Cléante, Valère, Frosine, the police officer, Master Jacques, Laflèche.
Do not grieve for your money, father, and accuse anyone. I have news of it, and I come here to tell you that if you consent to let me marry Marianne, your money will be given back to you.
Where is it?
Do not trouble yourself about that. It is in a safe place, and I answer for it. Everything depends on your resolve. It is for you to decide, and you have the choice either of losing Marianne or your cash-box.
Has nothing been taken out?
Nothing at all. Is it your intention to agree to this marriage, and to join your consent to that of her mother, who leaves her at liberty to do as she likes?
But do you not know that this consent is no longer sufficient, and that heaven has given me back a brother as well as a father, and you now have to obtain me from it?
Heaven, my dear children, has not restored you to me that I might oppose your wishes. Mr. Harpagon, you must be aware that the choice of a young girl is more likely to fall upon the son than upon the father. Come now, do not force people to say to you what is unnecessary, and consent, as I do, to this double marriage.
In order for me to be well advised, I must see my casket.
You shall see it safe and sound.
I have no money to give my children in marriage.
Never mind. I have some. Do not let this trouble you.
Do you take upon yourself to defray the expenses of these 2 weddings?
Yes, I will take this responsibility upon myself. Are you satisfied?
Yes, provided you order me a new suit of clothes for the wedding.
Agreed. Let us go and enjoy the blessings this happy day brings us.
Stop, sirs, stop. Softly, if you please. Who is to pay me for my writing?
We have nothing to do with your writing.
Indeed, and yet I do not pretend to have done it for nothing.
Showing Master Jacques.
There is a fellow you can hang in payment.
Alas, what is one to do? I receive a good cudgelling for telling the truth, and now they would hang me for lying.
Mr. Harpagon, you must forgive him this piece of imposture.
You will pay the officer then.
Let it be so. Let us go quickly, my children, to share our joy with your mother.
And I to see my dear casket.
End of Act 5. End of The Miser by Moliere, translated by Charles Heron Wall.